I count the beeps from Elias's heart monitor, matching my breaths to their steady rhythm. 36 hours in this chair has left a permanent kink in my neck, but I don't dare move. Not when each rise of his small chest feels like a victory. The pediatric ICU at Newark General dims their lights after 9, casting everything in a hazy glow that makes the world feel suspended. Outside, ambulances come and go, me colleagues continuing the work I stepped away from when Elias's school called yesterday. Severe asthma attack, unresponsive to rescue inhaler, ambulance en route. Everything will be okay, baby, I whisper, adjusting the oxygen mask that nearly swallows his face. His skin looks almost translucent under the fluorescent lights, veins mapping blue rivers beneath the surface. Elias shifts slightly, his fingers tightening around the worn photograph he insisted on keeping beside him. The three of us at Coney Island last summer, me, Elias, and Dad, before the stroke took him. The last good day before everything changed. A nurse pauses at the doorway, clipboard in hand. Miss Wynn? Doctor wants to try reducing his steroids slightly overnight. You should go home, get some real sleep. We'll call if anything changes. I smile tightly. Home, sleep. Like either is possible when my son's lungs keep forgetting how to work. Just a quick trip for clean clothes. I promise, though the thought of leaving makes my stomach clench. I'll be back before he wakes up. The nurse's gaze softens. She's seen too many parents run themselves into the ground at these bedsides. He's stable now, the worst is over. I nod, though experience has taught me nothing is guaranteed. My EMT training makes me both better and worse at this. I know exactly what each machine does, exactly what could still go wrong. Rising from the chair sends pins and needles racing through my legs. I press a kiss to Elias's forehead, his skin cooler now than yesterday. Mommy will be right back, I whisper against his hair. The hallways blur as I make my way out, nodding to the security guard who's seen me pace these corridors through 2 nights. Outside, dawn breaks over Newark, painting everything in watercolor pinks and oranges that feel obscene against my exhaustion. The drive home takes 12 minutes. I count each one, fingers drumming the steering wheel at red lights. Our apartment building on Calvert Street looks the same as always, brick facade weathered by decades, windows reflecting the morning sun. The familiar sight loosens something in my chest. Until I see it. The orange paper taped to our door screams its presence from halfway down the hall. My steps slow, then stop completely. The world narrows to that single bright rectangle, its official letterhead visible even from here. No, I breathe, suddenly moving again, faster now. No, no, no. The paper crinkles under my fingers as I rip it from the door. Black typeface swims before my eyes until the numbers come into focus. Notice of rent increase. Current monthly rent, $1,250. New monthly rent, $4,800. Effective, 30 days from receipt of notice. My knees nearly buckle. The amount isn't just impossible, it's obscene. It's an eviction dressed up as business. 3 times what we pay now, in a building where the heat fails every winter, and the super ignores black mold creeping across bathroom ceilings. But it's the signature at the bottom that steals my breath completely. Maribel Kane, Managing Partner. Kane Realty Associates. My half-sister's elegant script, the same handwriting that once signed birthday cards and graduation congratulations, the same hand that held mine at Dad's funeral. My fingers shake as I unlock the door, dropping my bag inside a home that suddenly feels temporary. On the wall, family photos chronicle our fractured history, Dad with his arm around me at EMT graduation, beaming with pride. Maribel in her college graduation gown, already poised for the corporate world that would eventually consume her. The 3 of us at Dad's 70th birthday, Maribel's smile not quite reaching her eyes. Family is who stands beside you in the storm, Dad used to say. I grab my phone, punching in Maribel's number from memory. It rings 4 times before clicking to voicemail. Her professional voice invites me to leave a message she has no intention of returning. Mari, it's Danica. I just got home from the hospital and found your notice. There must be some mistake. Call me back immediately. My voice sounds calmer than the storm raging inside me. The phone screen shows the time, 6:42 a.m. I promised to be back before Elias woke up. My son is in his hospital bed, machines breathing for him. My home was pulled out from under us by the sister who promised Dad she'd look after us. I grab clean clothes from the dresser, moving on autopilot while my mind races through impossible options. Fight the increase, find a new apartment, beg Maribel for mercy. Each path leads to the same dead-end time away from Elias when he needs me most. The family photo on my nightstand catches my eye. Dad teaching Elias to fish at the lake house. My son's face split with laughter, Dad's weathered hands guiding tiny fingers. Something hardens inside me, a resolve crystallizing like ice. Not this time, I whisper to the empty room, not when Elias needs me most. I stuff clothes into my bag, add toiletries and phone charger. Outside my window, the city wakes, oblivious to the storm Maribel just unleashed. But this time, I won't be the one washed away. Later that night, the numbers on Elias's heart monitor glow pale green against the darkened hospital room, 3:27 a.m. I've been awake for 52 hours now, but sleep feels like a luxury I can't afford. Not with Maribel's notice burning a hole in my pocket, not with Elias fighting for each breath. I pull my laptop from my bag, balancing it on my knees as the chair creaks beneath me. The hospital Wi-Fi connects with agonizing slowness. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly from caffeine and exhaustion. Where do I even start? The property management company is in Maribel's name. The rent checks go to her P.O. box. For 6 years since Dad died, I've just trusted. Like a fool. I type William Wynne Estate into my email search. Hundreds of messages populate the screen, most from the months after his funeral. Condolences, insurance papers, medical bills. The digital debris of a life ended. A forgotten message catches my eye. Important, please confirm receipt from Dad's email dated 2 weeks before his stroke. I'd never opened it. My throat tightens as I click. There's no message, just a PDF attachment with a file name of numbers and letters. Legal documents were never my strong suit, that was always Maribel's domain. The PDF loads slowly. Official letterhead from the county records office. Property deed transfer. My eyes scan the document, catching phrases in the legal jargon. Transfer of ownership, 1,426, 1,428 Calvert Street, William Edward Wynne, to Danica Marie Wynne. My breath catches. The room suddenly feels too small, too warm. Full ownership rights and interests, effective immediately upon recording. I press my palm against my mouth to stifle the sound that rises from my chest. A notary stamp sits at the bottom, alongside Dad's familiar scrawl, and a doctor's signature confirming his competence. He knew, I whisper, the words barely audible over the beeping machines. He knew she would do this. I look at Elias, his small chest rising and falling beneath the thin hospital blanket. The oxygen mask fogs slightly with each exhale, so fragile, yet so strong. Just like the truth I'm holding in my hands. My fingers fly across the keyboard, accessing the county tax portal. Each click reveals another layer of Maribel's deception. 6 years of property tax payments made through a company called MLC Holdings. Repair invoices from contractors that don't exist. Building permits for work never completed. A tenant complaint form dated 3 years ago catches my attention. Eleanor Winters, apartment 3B, reporting black mold and collapsed ceiling. The response: owner notified, no action required. Dozens more complaints follow. Broken radiators, faulty wiring, blocked fire exits. All directed to the owner. All ignored. My screen lights up with an incoming text message. Unknown number. Mari, can you confirm the move forward date for Calvert Street? Weber wants to start demolition next month. A second message follows immediately. Sorry, wrong number. Then a third, clearly meant for someone else. She'll never check the deed registry, too busy playing nurse to notice what's happening. My fingers tighten around the phone. The profile picture is tiny, but I recognize the sender, Kyle Jennings, Maribel's assistant, the one who smirked at me during Dad's funeral. The hospital room door opens with a soft swish. Jackson Morrison steps in, carrying 2 coffee cups and wearing his EMT uniform. His overnight shift must have just ended. "Thought you could use this," he whispers, placing 1 cup beside me. His eyes drift to my laptop screen, then widen. "What's all this?" I turn the screen toward him, revealing the property deed with my name on it. Apparently, I own the building, the whole building, for 6 years. Jackson stares at the document, then at me. "She's been stealing from you for 6 years?" The way he says it's so direct, so plainly brings the reality crashing down. This isn't just a misunderstanding, it's theft, fraud, betrayal by my own blood. The rent, the taxes, the repairs that never happened. My voice sounds strange to my own ears, unnaturally calm. She's been pocketing everything. Next morning, my phone buzzes with an incoming email. Maribel's lawyer, Samuel Weber. "Miss Wynne, concerns have been raised regarding the stability of Elias's living environment. My client feels obligated to address these concerns through appropriate legal channels if necessary. The child's welfare must come first." The words blur as tears fill my eyes, not from sadness, from rage. A soft knock at the door around 8 o'clock in the morning. Eleanor Winters stands in the doorway, her silver hair neatly pinned back despite the early hour. The elderly woman has lived in the building longer than I've been alive. "The nurse at the station said I could find you here." She steps inside, clutching a thick manila folder. "For months I've been trying to reach the real owner about the conditions. Then I saw the news about your boy and I thought..." Eleanor places the folder on the bed tray. Inside are hundreds of photos. Buckling floors, mold-covered walls, exposed wiring, each labeled with dates and apartment numbers. "We all kept records," she says simply. "We just didn't know who to give them to." The social worker appears in the doorway, clipboard in hand. "Miss Wynne, we need to discuss Elias's discharge plan, particularly his home stability." A cold realization washes over me as I look from the social worker to the property deed to Maribel's threatening email. "This isn't just about property," I whisper, my hand finding Elias's small fingers. "She's coming after my son." Jackson moves closer, his presence solid and reassuring. "What do you need?" My gaze falls to my bag, where a blue envelope has slipped partially out. Dad's emergency envelope, the one he made me promise to keep safe. "I need that," I say, reaching for it with sudden clarity. "And I need to make some calls." On the following day, I straightened the thin hospital blanket over Elias for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. His breathing has steadied overnight, each rise and fall of his small chest more regular than yesterday. The doctor called it progress. I call it a miracle after watching his oxygen levels plummet 2 days ago. The morning sun filters through half-drawn blinds, casting strips of light across the linoleum floor. Elias shifts slightly, the worn photograph of our Coney Island trip still clutched in his fingers even in sleep. 3 days in this room has made me intimate with every sound, the rhythmic beep of monitors, the squeak of nurses' shoes in the hallway, the distant ping of elevators arriving on our floor. "Mom?" Elias's voice sounds sandpaper, rough from the breathing tube they'd removed yesterday. I lean forward, pushing a damp curl from his forehead. "Right here, baby." "Can I have water?" I hold the plastic cup with its bent straw to his lips, watching him take small, careful sips. His eyes, so much like my father's, seem clearer today. "Can we go home, Mum?" "The doctor says maybe tomorrow," I tell him, setting the cup aside. "If your numbers stay good, we might go home tomorrow." Home. The word sticks in my throat. The apartment with its bright orange eviction notice. The impossible sum demanded by my own sister. I swallow hard, forcing my face to remain calm for Elias. The sharp click of heels against tile interrupts my thoughts. My spine stiffens before I even turn toward the doorway. Maribel stands framed in the entrance. Designer suit perfectly pressed despite the early hour, not a strand of her dark hair out of place. She clutches a small gift bag with tissue paper blooming from the top like an exotic flower. "I came as soon as I heard how serious it was," she announces, voice pitched to carry down the hallway where a nurse glances our way. Her performance is flawless, the concerned aunt rushing to her nephew's bedside. Only I notice how her eyes catalog the room, assessing the medical equipment, the rumpled sheets, my unwashed hair. "Aunt Mari." Elias's face brightens with genuine pleasure that twists something in my chest. He's too young to understand the eviction notice, too innocent to recognize the hollowness behind her smile. Look at you, brave boy. She approaches his bed, setting the gift bag on the side table. Aunt Mari brought you something special. Elias reaches for the bag with weak fingers, but exhaustion claims him before he can open it. His eyelids droop, and within moments, he's asleep again. The nurse Yvette, who's been with us since admission, appears in the doorway. Her eyes narrow slightly as she takes in Maribel's designer clothes, then flick to me with something like protective concern. His vitals are stable, she says directly to me. Doctor will be there in about an hour. I nod my thanks, recognizing the deliberate way she's marked her territory, establishing who belongs in this room and who's just visiting. Maribel waits until Yvette's footsteps fade before turning to me. We should talk privately. Her manicured hand gestures toward the hallway. Not a question, a command. I hesitate, glancing at Elias. He's sleeping, Maribel says, impatience creeping into her tone. This will only take a minute. In the hallway, fluorescent lights expose the shadows under my eyes, the coffee stains on my shirt from 3 days of hospital vigilance. Maribel stands tall in her cream-colored suit, gold watch glinting at her wrist, her father's graduation gift to her. I realize with a stab of recognition. I understand this is a difficult time, she begins, voice lowered to a professional murmur. Given the circumstances, I can extend your move-out date by 2 weeks. The words land like slaps. Move-out date. As if I were a tenant behind on rent, not her sister caring for a critically ill child. That's very generous, I reply, each word measured and even. Her smile tightens with satisfaction. I knew you'd understand. You know how hard business has been since COVID. Property values dropping, taxes increasing. The building needs significant improvements to remain competitive. I study her face, the same dark eyes as our father's, but lacking his warmth. Is that what you call tripling my rent while my son can't breathe? Her smile falters just for a second. Danica, be realistic. I've carried that building at a loss for years. Dad never understood business sentiment, clouded his judgment. Funny you should mention Dad's judgment. Something in my tone makes her eyes narrow. What do you mean? I found the deed, Mari. 2 spots of color appear high on her cheekbones. For 3 heartbeats, genuine shock renders her speechless. Then her corporate mask slides back into place. That old thing? She waves dismissively. Dad wasn't competent then. You know how confused he was those last months. I stand taller, shoulders straightening for the first time in days. The notary and his doctor disagreed. So did the property registry when I filed it yesterday. Her eyes widen, then harden to flint. Fighting me will bankrupt you. Think about Elias's medical bills. The threat hangs between us, but before I can respond, the elevator dings. Jackson appears, balancing 2 coffee cups and a paper bag. My fellow EMT sizes up the situation in a single glance, his easy stride never faltering. Hi, Danny. Brought you a real breakfast. He hands me coffee, deliberately positioning himself between Maribel and me. The nurse said Elias had a good night. Thank you, Jackson. I accept the coffee, grateful for his solid presence. The elevator dings again. Eleanor Winters emerges, her silver hair caught in its usual neat bun, manila folder clutched in gnarled fingers. At 72, she moves with surprising purpose. Miss Wynne, she calls, ignoring Maribel completely. I brought those building records you requested. All 36 safety violations documented with tenant signatures. Maribel's face tightens. Who is this woman? Your tenant for 14 years, Eleanor answers before I can. Though you wouldn't know since you've never once responded to maintenance requests. Dr. Matthews appears from the nurse's station, white coat flapping as he strides toward us. Miss Wynne, good news about Elias. His lung function has significantly improved. He notices our group and pauses. Am I interrupting? Not at all, doctor, I say. This is my sister, Maribel Kane. Miss Kane, he nods politely. Your sister has provided exemplary care for Elias. Her medical background has been invaluable during his treatment. Maribel's forced smile doesn't reach her eyes. I watch, understanding dawn she isn't facing a worn-down single mother desperate to keep her home. She's facing someone who hasn't been alone for a long time. I reach into my bag and remove the blue envelope our father had given me, placing it carefully on Elias's hospital tray. I didn't just file the deed, Mari. I've been collecting evidence for years. Her eyes fix on the envelope, recognition flashing across her face. I take my phone from my pocket, tap the screen, and hold it up. Her own voice fills the quiet hallway. She'll crack under the bills. That kid won't be around long anyway. The color drains from her face as the recording continues her conversation with her lawyer about accelerating Elias's removal from the building. Jackson and Eleanor exchange glances. Dr. Matthews clears his throat uncomfortably. I want full restoration of the building to code within 30 days. I say, voice steady. Repayment of all fraudulent repair invoices. Legal transfer of management back to meth rightful owner. Maribel's composure cracks. You'll never prove any of this in court. I already have. I meet her gaze without flinching. The question is how public you want this to become. Behind us, the hospital room door opens. Elias stands there in his pajamas, oxygen tube still attached, the old photograph clutched in his small hand. Mom? His voice wavers. Is everything okay? I move to him immediately, guiding him back to bed. Everything's fine, baby. Aunt Mari was just leaving. Over my shoulder, I see Maribel's face fury and fear warring for control. For the first time since our father died, I feel no obligation to ease her distress. Some storms, it turns out, are meant to be weathered, not avoided. The next day, I slide the manila folder across the hospital cafeteria table, careful not to disturb the coffee cups between us. Lisa Fenton's fingers short-nailed, ink-stained at the cuticle stap twice before drawing the folder closer. Took me 6 years to collect all this, I say, keeping my voice low despite the cafeteria's breakfast clatter. Started the day after Dad's funeral. Lisa's eyebrows lift as she flips through the first few pages. A veteran reporter for the Newark Gazette, she's seen her share of scandal, but something in her expression shifts as she reaches the bank statements. Jesus, she mutters, coffee forgotten. She created 6 different maintenance companies, all registered to the same P.O. box? I nod, watching the realization build behind her eyes. Each one charges triple the market rate for repairs that never happened. 20% kickback to the property management firm, her firm. And you're the legal owner the whole time? Lisa's pen hovers over her notepad. Dad transferred the deed 2 weeks before his stroke. I didn't know until I checked my old emails 3 nights ago. Lisa flips to the tenant complaints: water damage, black mold, faulty wiring, all systematically buried by Maribel's office. Her gaze snags on the photograph of Elias's bedroom ceiling, where water stains bloom like storm clouds. This is front-page material, Danica. She taps the photos. Corporate fraud, family betrayal, health hazards in urban housing. It hits every nerve. I straighten my EMT uniform jacket, worn for this meeting despite being off-duty. The familiar weight steadies me. I just want what's legally mine, and my son's future is secured. Lisa studies me over reading glasses. Your sister will fight back, hard. You understand that, right? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. A text from Jackson. Heads up, someone in a suit taking photos of the hospital entrance. Not press, professional camera. My stomach tightens. I've seen this movie before. Maribel's playbook unfolding exactly as I predicted to Jackson last night. You should know, I tell Lisa, sliding the phone back into my pocket. She's already building her counterattack. The court documents arrive by courier the next morning. I signed for them with Elias asleep beside me, his breathing easier today. The manila envelope feels heavier than paper should. Emergency petition for temporary guardianship. Petitioner, Maribel Kane. Grounds: parental unfitness due to mental instability and substandard living conditions. The words blur, then sharpen. My pulse drums in my ears. Beside the legal jargon sits a psychological assessment Maribel paid for, diagnosing me with probable PTSD from prolonged EMT trauma exposure without ever meeting me. Another page cites untreated environmental hazards causing severe pediatric asthma, with photos of our apartment clearly taken during the 36 hours I'd been at the hospital with Elias. My phone pings with a notification. Maribel's social media post appears on my screen, a professionally shot photo of her looking concerned, captioned, Sometimes the hardest part of loving someone is stepping in when they can't see they need help. Prayers for my sister and nephew during this difficult time. The post already has 78 sympathetic comments. I set the phone down, hands steady despite the rage burning beneath my skin. Training kicks in assess, prioritize, respond, just like any emergency call. Outside my window, a car with tinted windows idles. The camera lens catches sunlight as it tilts upward toward Elias's hospital room. My phone rings. Eleanor Winters, the tenant organizer from the third floor. Danica, you're not going to believe this. The Newark building inspector just showed up with a clipboard and camera, says they received multiple formal complaints. I press my hand against the cool window glass. Who filed them? All of us, Eleanor says, voice stronger than her 73 years would suggest. Every tenant in the building. We're showing him everything: the mold in 2B, the faulty wiring in the west hallway, the broken fire escape on the fourth floor. He says it's the worst code violation case he's seen in years. For the first time in days, something unclenched in my chest. There's more, Eleanor continues. That reporter's article just went live. Family fraud. How Kane Realty exploited tenants and kin. It's everywhere, Danica. People are sharing it like wildfire. A soft rustle from the bed draws my attention. Elias blinks awake, reaching for the water cup on his tray table. Mom? His voice sounds clearer today. Are we going to lose our home? I move to his side, taking his small hand in mine. The IV tape pulls at his skin, but his fingers squeeze mine with new strength. No, baby. I smooth his hair back from his forehead. Actually, we own much more than we thought. The hospital phone on the wall rings sharply. The nurse pokes her head in. Miss Wynn? There's a call from Bergman and Associates. Says he's Miss Kane's attorney and it's urgent. I smile at Elias, surprising myself with how genuine it feels. Tell him I'll call back later. My son and I are having an important conversation. A week later, the marble courthouse hallway magnifies every sound. Maribel's heels click a staccato rhythm as she approaches, flanked by two attorneys in charcoal suits. The legal barricade she's assembled looks expensive: tailored lapels, leather briefcases that cost more than a month of Elias's medications. Danny. Her voice softens to a pitch I haven't heard since Dad's funeral. We need to talk before this starts. I stand my ground, Jackson positioned slightly behind me like a sentinel. The weight of the blue envelope in my bag presses against my hip. Whatever you have to say can wait for the judge. Maribel dismisses her attorneys with a flick of her wrist. They retreat just far enough to maintain the illusion of privacy. This has gotten out of hand. We're family. She lowers her voice. Dad would hate seeing us like this, Danny. The mention of Dad ignites something molten in my chest. Don't you dare use him as a shield. She glances at her watch platinum, new since I saw her last. If you withdraw the complaints today, I can make this custody nonsense disappear. Otherwise, my attorneys are prepared to file a countersuit for defamation and business interference. The courtroom doors open behind her. Eleanor appears, her silver hair neatly pinned, clutching a weathered binder to her chest. The building inspector follows, clipboard in hand. Looks like your time's up, I say, stepping around her. Her fingers close around my wrist. You can't win this. You know that, right? Think about Elias. I do think about him asleep this morning, breathing easily for the first time in weeks. Dr. Matthews watched over him so I could be here. I am thinking about him, I say, pulling free. That's why we're here. Inside, the courtroom's wood paneling absorbs the morning light. The judge, a woman with silver-streaked hair and reading glasses, perched low on her nose studies papers while we settle into our places. Maribel testifies first, her voice honey-smooth as she describes my erratic behavior since Dad's death. The photographs her team presents show my apartment during those hospital days: dishes in the sink, medication bottles clustered on countertops, an unmade bed. My concern is only for my nephew's well-being, she tells the judge, dabbing at dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Her witness parade follows her assistant claiming I called the office in hysterics last winter, a neighbor who heard shouting from our apartment during one of Elias's worst attacks. A child psychologist who's never met my son suggesting environmental instability might be exacerbating his condition. My attorney, a former tenant who took our case pro bono, stands when Maribel's team finishes. Your Honor, I'd like to call Dr. Sarah Matthews. Dr. Matthews enters in rumpled scrubs coming straight from her hospital shift. Her testimony is clinical, precise, outlining Elias's care plan, his progress, the meticulous way I've managed his condition. In 15 years of pediatric practice, she concludes, I've rarely seen a parent as attentive or well-prepared as Miss Wynne. The school nurse follows, then my EMS supervisor who drove through morning traffic to be here. Danica is our most reliable first responder. In crisis situations, she's who we call. The building inspector approaches the stand with photographs that tell a different story than Maribel's black mold creeping across bathroom ceilings, exposed wiring, a furnace inspection sticker expired 3 years ago. These conditions, he states flatly, represent some of the worst code violations I've documented this year. When my attorney opens the blue envelope, the courtroom falls silent. Dad's handwriting fills the first page's statement of intention for the property, dated 2 weeks before his stroke. Bank statements follow, showing Maribel's systematic transfers from the building's maintenance account to Kane Realty's general fund. Then the recording plays. Maribel's voice fills the courtroom. She'll crack under the bills. That kid won't be around long anyway. The judge removes her glasses, staring directly at Maribel. Counselors approach the bench. The whispered conference lasts less than a minute. When the judge speaks again, her voice carries to every corner of the room. I've seen enough. This court dismisses the custody petition with prejudice. She shuffles papers, her expression hardening. Miss Wynne is awarded full legal possession and management rights to the property in question. Kane Realty is ordered to provide complete financial accounting within 30 days. She pauses, looking directly at Maribel. This court will monitor the defendant's compliance. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for review of potential fraud charges. The gavel strikes wood with startling finality. Across the aisle, Maribel's perfect composure fractures, her mouth opening but finding no words. For the first time since Dad died, I breathe without the weight of her shadow across my chest. The setting sun bathes Newark in amber light as I push open the heavy metal door to the rooftop. 3 months since the courthouse victory, and I still find myself catching my breath at the view not just of the city skyline, but of what we've accomplished. Below, scaffolding hugs the brick facade where workers repaired decades of neglect. The community garden, once a trash-strewn lot, now bursts with summer vegetables. Through the propped-open windows, I hear laughter from the tenant association meeting in our newly renovated community room. Mom, watch this! Elias calls, racing across the rooftop without the familiar wheeze that shadowed him since toddlerhood. His cheeks flush with healthy color instead of medication-induced pallor. Careful near the edge, I caution, but my words lack their usual urgent fear. The proper railings installed last month stand firm, replacing the rusted remnants Maribel never bothered to fix. I drag the wooden chair from behind the access door, Dad's favorite, rescued from the storage room where Maribel banished his belongings after the stroke. The worn arms still hold the imprint of his hands, evidence of countless evenings spent watching the city transform from this very spot. What's that? Elias asks, trotting over to investigate. Grandpa's sunset chair. I position it facing west, just as Dad preferred. From my bag, I pull the framed photo of him smiling broadly on this rooftop, his Newark Fire Department cap tilted back. I place it carefully on the small table beside the chair, angling it toward the horizon. The door creaks open behind us. Eleanor appears, silver hair catching the golden light, a pitcher of lemonade balanced on a tray with 3 glasses. The tenants wanted you to have this, she says, placing the tray beside Dad's photo. Celebration downstairs is running long. People can't stop talking about the new hot water system. I laugh. Never thought anyone would cheer about water heaters. People cheer for dignity, Danica. That's what you gave back to us. After Eleanor returns downstairs, I sink into Dad's chair, its familiar contours embracing me like his arms once did. On my phone, the calendar reminder flashes. EMS Supervisor Orientation 8 a.m., the promotion I finally accepted last week, with hours that mean tucking Elias in every night. Is this really all ours now? Elias asks, settling beside me on the roof's edge, feet dangling through the safety rails. I think of Maribel's letter sitting unopened on my desk. Jackson's gentle suggestion yesterday, maybe someday you'll be ready to read it, lingers in my thoughts. The news about her company losing its property management license reached me through Eleanor's grandson at the housing authority. What she does now is her choice, not my concern, I told Jackson when he mentioned it. The words surprised me with their lack of bitterness. I put my arm around Elias, pulling him close as the sun dips lower, painting the Newark skyline in brushstrokes of gold and copper. All of it. I tell him, not just the building, the peace too. He leans against me, his breathing easy and strong. Below us, the building hums with new life, the plaque honoring Dad gleaming in the freshly painted lobby, the mold-free apartments filled with neighbors who now greet each other by name. The sunset burns bright across the horizon, a daily miracle we almost lost the chance to witness together.